Okay, so I saw this video it was okay, so on Juneteenth, Dr. Umar, I guess he was at a potluck, a picnic, he was somewhere. And he basically gave a little speech, and there's a guy who made a response video to the speech. I want to talk about, but and then a bunch of people in the comments commented on what was said. Now, here's the premise of it. Dr. Umar got up and he said, "Hey, dear black American men, black men, this one's for you. Here's what you need to do. You need each one of you needs to be like raising, at least 8 to 10 sons that are not your own, because black women out here are struggling, and they've been struggling for a very long time, and we need to make it better. We need to help. So even if these aren't your sons, you need to be personally responsible for some other black males in the community." Now, this guy who made the video, he was like, so he makes a response video to this, and he's like, what the fuck, what is he talking about? I'm not raising anybody else's son. Those women keep coming out talking about how strong they are, how great they are, how they don't need us. So then they don't need us. I'm not raising anybody else's son. Like, that, it's my responsibility to raise my own sons. And all the other guys are in the comments like, yeah, we're only raising our own sons. We're not raising those sons. I also saw there was some video that came out where there's this black guy, he makes a music video, it was like called Baby Mamas or something. He's like, you got 4 baby daddies, and now you're like a baby mama with all these baby daddies and all this stuff. And here's what I want to say to all of that. First of all, women who are watching my channel, you should really go watch this video for yourself and see the comments for yourself, because they're great. I almost want to make a video that's just going comment by comment and giving commentary about all of this. And I have some time, so I actually might do that. We have time today. It was fucking fascinating. They're like, it was so many dudes who were like, yo, like, it's basically like, we hate y'all. Like, we fuck y'all. Like, you go struggle alone. And then here's the same thing though, like when some black guy gets shot up or something happens in the black community, then all of a sudden I'll be like, we're a community. Everybody does this. Everybody needs to do this. All of you guys need to stand up. Do that. Blah, 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 blah. They'll be like, we. Family, community, the group. It's like, what? Okay, so the video I just made was about how there are a whole bunch of people who do not want to be included in the group. They're basically saying that we don't identify as this group. We are not members of this group. Do not include us. No, like, we are different from you. We aren't like you. We don't like you. Like, we aren't the same, right? And so it's kind of like really strange to now have these men also be like, yeah, so even though there's like a community of youth, males, because like, no, he's actually not talking to females or about females at all. He's talking specifically to males about the next generation of males. And then these same men, specifically like the black men, will get on and be like, I don't understand why people keep stereotyping us, and they keep saying that all of us are like this, and they'll try to be like, they'll try to 2 Chainz it. I'm different. No, you're not different. No, you're different. Like, you're all exactly like the same guy. You're the same guy. And that's what I mean when I made that other video that was like, why the 4B movement is like safe for black women. Like, black women, you have to, like, you can't just take the trotted and true path for women in America. That doesn't work for us. You have to like actively, like at every fucking step, you have to actively like evaluate, test, like penetration test, validate with other women in the community, talk to parents and religious group leaders, do background checks. Like, you legitimately have to like take each person as an individual and do a whole bunch of like qualitative research to really understand if you should take the risk by going to the next step with any person. You can't just get a boyfriend. You can't just get a husband. You can't just like move in with a friend. Like, every fucking step you have to like evaluate the risk. It's a risk analysis, which is a fucking strange thing to say. But go listen to other black women in the world and like really hear their lived experiences and the advice that they're giving you, because they're telling you this from their own lived experience, which is coming from like kind of groupthink in terms of like, men are behaving this way and this is what they're doing. Here's how they did it and here's what it looked like. Here's how it felt. Here's how I struggled. Here's what you can do to not struggle in that way. Maybe you should fucking listen. If you're smart, you'd listen, take the advice and learn from it and grow and do something different. That's what smart people do, just to like let you know. But also like the very weird part about this is like, I wonder why those men don't see those youth as themselves. And then what do they think that other people who are not members of the group see those youth as? Other people who are not members of the Black male community in America, just living in America, they see other youth, like other Black youth who they don't know, who they do know, as being like, they're like, oh, they're gonna be like the ones that we see now. They're leading that life. They're part of that trajectory. They're part of that group, because whether you like it or not, people are going to clump you in a group that you're similar to. I think there's this really big want by some Black male entertainers, like the Will Smiths, the Tyler Perrys. They're trying to paint these new pictures through media and bullshit that like, oh, well, the men are actually different. They're actually like this. The Jaden Smiths, the Trevor Jacksons, like they're painting these pictures that to an extent aren't real. Like they're putting out images and movies and songs and stuff, and that, I think it's nice. I think it's ambitious. I think it's like something that is future forward. But we also just turn on the news or go outside or just go talk to people in the actual society. That shit isn't really happening. There aren't guys who are behaving this way, at least not towards members of their own community, right? And we all see this because we all have the data to prove it. Like, read any fucking newspaper article. Look at the statistics, right? Look at the abortions that are happening. Go listen to all the songs that are coming out by like the new Black girls. None of them are like, oh, everything's so good. Oh, my feminine energy. What you have is a whole bunch of women like me who are literally creating, they're not really, well, some are creating like soft life, ambitious sort of videos that are, some are detailing their real lives. Like I think what Jasmine Tukes is sharing, it's very real to her life. Lori Harvey, what she's sharing, I feel like that's real to her life. But a lot of the content creator girls are just trying to show you things that they can buy with money in America. And like anyone can do that. If you have $1, you can like literally glamorize going to the dollar store and getting a hairbrush or something and doing a whole hairstyle with $1 hairbrush. That you could glamorize that. But at the end of the day, it's $1. like $1 is just not that much money, right? So, you know, whatever. Like, I thought it was really fucking weird and strange to hear like so many of these grown men like directly oppose, you know, taking on responsibility for men who would not. The reason that there's a need for these men to step up and be fathers to males and children who don't have fathers in their own community is so that those boys grow up and become something and are like safe and protected. And these men are literally sitting here saying, fuck that, no, we're not gonna do it. We won't do it. And they're basically saying it to spite the women, to be like, we fucking hate those bitches, and so that's why we're not gonna do it. So it doesn't actually put any responsibility on the men or the community, which is another reason why I continue. Well, first of all, it's another reason why I feel like what I am doing with my channel is attempting to build a community. I feel like I see other Black women on the platform doing that as well, and I think that is good. Because at least for Black girls and Black women who are looking for community, they have options and places that they can join. And I don't really encourage you to join my community unless do you agree with what I'm saying? I think that if you disagree with what I'm saying, I would actually encourage you to subscribe and comment, because there are so, I've established my worldview via real world experiences. So initially, I took a bunch of like information from my family members, from things that I saw, music videos, I told stories, other media sources that I could gather, like chatting with people to try to understand the world. And then I went out and I lived. I know it seems like I'm this like hermit now who just like stays in her apartment and makes videos and sometimes goes to dinner, but I have lived a whole life, like a whole full life. Like I've lived it. And so like when I felt like when I first started making videos, I just thought it was hilarious because I saw all these people who were like posting, I would call them like, it was like ambitious content about what it means to be upper middle class or middle class. And I'm just like laughing because I'm like, that is not really how that looks. Or it's just like very clear that like people are like scamming or scheming to kind of get it. And when you've like had those things in real life, you're like, it's not like always as glamorous. Like I remember the first corporate company I worked with, they had a private jet. And I actually made a video about this. And every weekend, I was working in Oregon and I lived in California. My family was in California. So every Friday night at 5 o'clock, because they like scheduled the flights and they had a like private, literally airport. So I would take a little shuttle to go to the private airport, which was just like a bus, but it was like a company bus. So I would go from my campus on the little bus. It was like 5 minutes to get to the airport, and it was like a very small airport. It was like not even a terminal. It looked like a car rental place, and it just had like a landing track or whatever. So you just walk in, you scan your badge. There's only 12 people on the flight, and I would just catch the flight and go back to California. And then it was like Monday morning, I would get up at 4 a.m. and then get on the 6 a.m. flight back to work on Monday. Like I did this shit like every single weekend. And I mean, when I think about that now, that is pretty like luxurious and like definitely not like a eco-friendly way to get to work, but I don't know. So I'm trying to, and I'm not even like a super celebrity because there was like other employees who were like doing that shit too. So if I'm literally sitting here being extra middle class doing that, and like I see some of the shit that like y'all not my subscribers, but some of the public, Insta girlies are doing certain shit, you'll be like, that's pretty sketch. Okay. Like anyway. Or it's just other shit. Like when you understand like, how much things cost, like it's like you could realistically go to dinner. Like I went to dinner twice today. It was great. And I just kind of, I don't know, I guess I'm trying to be the representation I feel like I wish I had when I was still trying to figure things out, when I was kind of trying to understand my worldview, and especially trying to get to the next level, because I feel like right now what I am trying to do is be a little bit different than the Black women I've seen come before me, the Black American women specifically, because I want to explore other options. I remember it was like 4 years ago, and there was this Black woman who, I think she was like 50, and she just had like a garden. And every day she had a social media account where she would just post pictures of her in her garden, and like that was her hobby, like that was her life. And she just got all this criticism, people like shading on her, and they were like, fuck her, like we hate her, who the fuck is she? She's so miserable, like her whole existence is nothing. And I saw that and I was like, this is great. Like this bitch looks super free. Like every day she just goes out into her garden and just gardens. She had on a little sundress and a hat, like some little like some sandals. She was just like tending to her flowers. And I'm like, I want that to be me. I just want to like have a little lake. I want to like sit on my lake and just make some videos that are about shit that I see in the world. You just sit, have some lemonade, just be talking shit. Like, this is what I want for us, okay? Like, I think a lot of us are gonna get this, like, especially since so many of us are making content and there are so many more of us on planet Earth who need people to look up to. And eventually, like I said, your audience will find you. So just keep going, just keep pushing out your content, continue to like invest in your storytelling abilities. And I would really hope that like Black men get a clue, but I think if we take a temperature test and go watch this video for yourself, I thought it was really sad, but I also thought it was really telling. because, dude, like, they don't even like themselves. Like, it's just like, fuck, like, this dude really got on. It was like, I fucked those little kids. I'm not helping them at all. Especially, I think what's really funny is to see, like, the red pillars come out and be anti-conservative. Because to be clear, not being a part of a community, not being religious, and that's like, I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with this, but they put the 10 Commandments in a lot of the classrooms right now on the wall, and I saw people pushing back toward that, and I think that that's very strange, because even as an agnostic atheist, I abide by the 10 Commandments. That is one thing, that is like a set of morals that I honestly live by. I don't really feel like you need more than that. It's like, don't steal, don't kill, don't lie, don't cheat. It's like some other like really basic moral there's like fucking 10 moral principles to live by. And then there's also like the 7 deadly sins, which if you just kind of steer away from those and just try not to be like gluttony or being fat is a sin. Okay. There's 7 deadly sins. Try not to like lean toward those, because it's not like a good thing. Yeah? I don't think this shouldn't be controversial. Even though I know it will be, but whatever.